Life comes from life. We live in a world of wonders. We are surrounded by an awe-inspiring vast cosmos whose planets and stars move with clockwork precision. The most surprising phenomenon within this cosmic space is the presence of living beings, each of which is fascinating in its own right. Mankind has made significant progress in unlocking many secrets of nature. We have split the atom, mapped the sky, and gained insights into the anatomy of the living beings, from tiny bacteria to giant whales. However, important questions remain that are not satisfactorily answered. For example, where did the universe and life come from? Is there a purpose to the existence of the enormous cosmos and the life in it? Let's try to find the most convincing answer to our origin. The source of matter and life is an extremely important question, as our answer strongly influences our morality, our lifestyle, and our purpose in life. It also decides whether there is a higher meaning to our personal existence or whether everything ends for us with death. How did life appear on Earth? According to modern textbooks, the first form of life was a single-celled organism like a bacterium, and it was formed accidentally by spontaneous, step-by-step combination of millions of molecules. But no one has managed to write a detailed scenario of this supposed process. One problem is that the internal structure of bacteria is amazingly complicated. The bacteria are surrounded by a protective cell wall. Inside, there are complicated, interconnected chemical factories to maintain life. Moreover, the whole complex system of a bacterium is able to duplicate itself. Actually, these tiny unicellular beings are much more complex and effective than any human-made machine. As we know, nature's law states that highly complicated and ordered things do not form by themselves. Complex systems are always the result of the activity of a rational thinking mind. Is it really possible that matter at some point organized itself into living beings? Sir Fred Hoyle was a popular astronomer of the 20th century. He thought about the improbability of the spontaneous formation of a living cell. He illustrated this problem with an analogy.
A junkyard contains all the bits and pieces of a Boeing 747, dismembered and in disarray. A whirlwind happens to blow through the yard. What is the chance that after its passage, a fully assembled 747, ready to fly, will be found standing there?
The accidental formation of a living cell is even less likely than a hurricane producing an airplane. Furthermore, in 2020, 9 competent scientists published a landmark book in which they evaluated modern research on the origin of life. According to their summary, the current theories all have failed. In this book, James Tour, a world-renowned chemistry professor, wrote a chapter with this title,
"We're still clueless about the origin of life."
He explains that no one can answer how lifeless matter could have assembled itself into a living system. There are myriad scientific problems with this hypothesis. He came to this conclusion:
Scientists have no data to support molecular evolution leading to life. There needs to be a wholly different scientific approach to reveal life's origin.
The main problem with modern explanations of the origin of life is that they assume that life can be created by combining non-living material components. However, we never see an example of this. No matter how many zeros are added to zero, the result will always be zero. Just like that, the meeting of inanimate things always results only in inanimate things. As we have seen, the origin of life is not explained satisfactorily by modern science. At the same time, there is a remarkable knowledge that can be found in the ancient Vedic scriptures of India. According to Hindu tradition, this voluminous literature is of divine origin. The Bhagavad Gita is the summary book of this Vedic knowledge and has been offering detailed answers to life's most important questions for thousands of years. According to the ancient Vedic answer, living organisms have a non-material component, the soul, which animates biological bodies. In other words, life does not originate from matter. The soul makes the body alive. And when the soul leaves the body, it becomes lifeless. The Bhagavad Gita gives us the glad tidings that we earthly beings are not equal to our bodies, but we are eternal, spiritual beings. We all belong to the Supreme Being because we come from Him, just like particles of light from the sun or sparks from fire. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says,
"The embodied souls in this material world are my eternal fragmental parts."
We tiny living beings used to live in another realm beyond matter. However, we came from there to here, into the material world. And here the eternal soul must take on a temporary material body like a garment. In other words, every living being we see on earth is actually an eternally conscious spiritual being who is currently residing in a plant, animal, or human body. The soul animates the body, and when the conscious self, the soul, leaves, the body becomes lifeless and can no longer be revived. The characteristics of living beings are, for example, that they carry out metabolism, they move, they grow, they reproduce, they perceive their environment and react to it. If we examine the world of the living, we see that sentient beings are never created from inanimate matter, but are born from their parents, from other living organisms. In the 19th century, Louis Pasteur, the famous French microbiologist and chemist, formulated this empirical law in Latin as omne vivum ex vivo. That is, that all life forms come from a living organism. The Vedic scriptures emphasize the same truth. Living things can only be born from another living being. But who is the origin of all living beings? The source of all life is the Supreme Being, God Himself. So in every way, life comes from life. The original Father, who has no other origin and from whom all others are descended, is God. The Vedic teaching revealed the secret, that God is not only an all-pervading light, but a wonderful spiritual personality, who is the source of all life, matter, and energies. This ultimate source is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Bhagavad Gita calls Krishna the father of all the living beings. Another ancient writing, the Brahma Samhita, defines him thus.
Krishna, also known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the origin of everything. His mighty intelligence is reflected in every sublime, beautiful and glorious phenomenon that we see in the material world, in an impressive waterfall, and in every wonderful feature of inanimate and animate nature. The Vedic teachings also speak about the journey of the soul through various bodies. During the process of reincarnation, the soul enters more and more complex bodies. It takes on the bodies of aquatic creatures, then plants, insects, amphibians and reptiles, birds and mammals, until it finally reaches the human form. In human existence, the soul receives a high intellectual capacity and free will, which comes with great responsibility. Consequently, our behavior determines how we reborn after death. If we have lived badly, next time we can be born in an animal or plant body. If we lived a pious life, then we can reincarnate again as a human, or we can end up in some visible or unseen part of the vast cosmos. But the most important gift of human life is that in this body, the soul can inquire about the true meaning of life and understand it through scriptures and qualified spiritual teachers. If one follows the divine guidance of the Vedic scriptures and accepts the help of an advanced spiritual teacher, then he or she gets the opportunity to return to the eternal home of the souls, to the company of God, and never born again in this temporary world. Every human being has a built-in curiosity about the ultimate purpose of their existence. We all feel that we must be more than a perishable biological machine. Vedic scriptures reveal the important messages sent to us by the Supreme Being. The first step on our path to enlightenment is to understand what causes life and where it comes from. We don't need to become a great scientist or a millionaire to understand this. We simply need to get information from the right sources and use common sense. Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna-consciousness, in his books and lectures provides assistance for this honest inquiry.
The whole world is running on a false theory that life is born out of matter. But that is not a fact.
You cannot manufacture life by combination of chemicals. We have no such experience that from dead matter living entities are coming out. That is not possible. Many places in the Vedic literature it is stated that life does not come from matter, but life comes from the Supreme Life, Krishna. That is the verdict of the Vedic.
This is a fact that life comes from life. Life comes from life. Life comes from life.
Thus, Vedic knowledge provides a profound and logical explanation for the origin of life, one that aligns with both our intuition and empirical observations. Understanding our spiritual nature opens the door to a deeper sense of purpose, far beyond the limitations of materialistic theories.